You are 9 years old the first time you see real power. It is winter in Saint Petersburg. The kind of cold that doesn't just bite, it settles into your bones and stays there like a debt. You are standing outside a Soviet-era apartment block, the paint peeling off the walls in long gray strips, the stairwell behind you smelling of cigarettes and boiled cabbage. Your coat is too thin. Your shoes have a hole in the left sole. You have learned not to complain about either. A black Mercedes pulls up to the curb. Slowly, deliberately. The engine hums like something alive and dangerous. Two men step out. Long coats. Thick necks. Eyes that scan the street the way soldiers scan a battlefield. And then he comes out. The man in the middle. He doesn't look like a monster. He looks like someone's grandfather. Gray at the temples, calm face, unhurried steps. But the entire street changes when he walks through it. Shop owners look away. A police officer across the road turns his back. Even the wind seems to slow down. Your neighbor, Dmitri, leans close to you and whispers a name. You don't forget it. You go home that night and you lie in the dark, and you think about what it means to be the kind of man that makes a police officer look away. You think about your father, who worked 16 hours a day at the docks and still couldn't keep the heat on. And still couldn't keep the heat on. You think about your mother's face when the landlord knocks. You think about the hole in your shoe. By the time you fall asleep, something has shifted inside you. Something small. Something permanent. Level 1, the Errand Boy. You are 13 when Gregor first notices you. Gregor runs a small crew out of the Nevsky district. He isn't important. He isn't powerful. But he has a car, a phone, and men who do what he says. And to a 13-year-old boy with nothing, that looks like everything. He gives you your first job on a Tuesday afternoon. Deliver a package to an address 3 blocks away. Don't open it. Don't talk to anyone. Come straight back. You do exactly that. He gives you 200 rubles. More money than you have ever held in your hands. You come back the next day. That is how it starts, not with violence, not with oaths, with an errand. With 200 rubles, and the feeling that you are finally useful to someone who matters. Over the next 2 years, you become invisible in the best possible way. You know every street, every shortcut, every face in the neighborhood. You carry messages. You watch corners. You learn when to be seen and when to disappear. Gregor starts calling you his shadow. It sounds like a compliment. You decide to take it as one. You are 15 when you first see someone get hurt. It is quick. It is ugly. It is nothing like the movies. Afterward, you stand very still, and you wait to feel something that tells you to run, to stop, to go home. But the feeling doesn't come. What comes instead is something colder. An understanding. This is the world. This has always been the world. The only question is which side of it you want to be on. You stay. Level 2, the soldier. At 17, you are given a gun for the first time. It is heavier than you expected. Not just the weight of the metal, the weight of what it means. Gregor hands it to you in the back room of a restaurant that serves as the crew's unofficial headquarters. He tells you that you are now a Boevik, a soldier. You have earned it. You nod like it is nothing. Inside, something is screaming, not in fear, but in a kind of dark exhilaration that you will spend years learning to control. Your job as a Boevik is simple. You protect. You collect. You enforce. The first time you collect a debt, the man cries. He is 3 times your age. He has a family. He knows what happens if he doesn't pay. You stand in his kitchen while he empties a tin he keeps hidden above the refrigerator. And you do not flinch, and you do not apologize. And when you leave, you do not think about his children's faces on the wall. You think about the next address. Over 3 years, you build a reputation. Not for cruelty. Cruelty is easy. Cruelty is for men who have nothing else to offer. Your reputation is for reliability. You do what you say. You say what you mean. You never take more than you're told to. You never draw unnecessary attention. In an organization built on chaos, you are the rare thing, someone predictable, someone trusted. Gregor promotes you. You are now responsible for 3 other Boeviks. You have a small cut of the collections. Enough to move out of the apartment. Enough to buy a coat that actually fits. You are 20 years old, and you have already left the boy with the hole in his shoe somewhere far behind. Level 3, the crew leader. The promotion to Brigadier doesn't come with a ceremony. It comes with a phone call at 6 in the morning, telling you that Gregor has had an accident, and that you are now running the Nevsky crew. You don't ask what kind of accident. You take the meeting that afternoon. 12 men sitting around a table looking at you, calculating, measuring. Some of them are older. Some of them have more scars. All of them are waiting to see if you are going to be a problem or a solution. You speak for 4 minutes. You outline the collection's schedule for the week. You assign roles. You tell them nothing changes until you say it changes. Then you stand up and leave before anyone can push back. Control is established in the first 30 seconds, or not at all. Running a crew means running a small economy. Protection payments from 37 businesses in the district. A cut from 2 gambling operations. An arrangement with a logistics company that moves certain cargo without asking too many questions. Every week the money flows up and a percentage stays with you. Every week you account for every ruble. You keep clean books in a language only you understand. You never skim. You never lie about numbers. That reputation, the one you started building at 17, is now worth more than any single payment you could steal. You spend 2 years as Brigadier. You expand the territory twice. You resolve a border dispute with a neighboring crew without firing a single shot. Through negotiation. Through leverage. Through patience. Word travels upward. It always does when you're doing something right. The call comes from a man named Volkov. Volkov is a vor, an authority within the organization. He wants to meet. You take 3 days to prepare for that meeting. You sleep 4 hours a night. You review every number, every contact, every operation. When you finally sit across from Volkov in a private dining room at a restaurant you could not have afforded 5 years ago, you answer every question without hesitation. He doesn't smile, he doesn't compliment you. He just nods once at the end and says, "We'll be in touch." 3 weeks later, you receive new instructions. Level 4, the thief in law. The title of Vor v Zakone, thief in law, is the oldest rank in the Russian criminal world. It predates the Soviet Union. It has its own codes, its own obligations, its own history written in prison walls and blood. To be made vor, you are brought before a council of existing vori. Men you have never met. Men who have been watching you for longer than you know. There is no ritual the way outsiders imagine it. No candlelight. No dramatic speech. There is a room. There are men. And there is a question. Do you accept the responsibilities and obligations of the code? You say yes. What those obligations mean takes years to fully understand. A vor does not work a legitimate job. A vor does not cooperate with law enforcement under any circumstances. A vor is expected to mediate disputes, maintain order, fund imprisoned brothers, and uphold a system that has functioned in one form or another for over a century. You are no longer just running a crew. You are now responsible for a section of an entire criminal infrastructure. The money at this level becomes abstract. It arrives in property, in business shares, in favors that can be called in at any point. You own 3 apartments, a car import business, and a stake in a construction company that wins government contracts. Through arrangements you arrange quietly and carefully. Your name is not on the paperwork. It never is. You have a lawyer who handles everything. You have an accountant who asks no questions. You have a personal security team of 4 men who go where you go without being told. You are 31 years old. For the first time, you feel the weight of real exposure. At the lower ranks, danger came from the street, from rivals, from debts and collections and dark parking lots. At this level, the danger is invisible. It comes from prosecutors with political ambitions, from foreign intelligence agencies tracking financial flows, from rivals inside the organization who smile at you in meetings and make phone calls afterward. You learn to read silence. You learn to trust nothing that isn't verified. You learn that at this level, paranoia isn't a weakness, it is a survival system. You make decisions that affect hundreds of people without ever meeting most of them. A business closes. Families are displaced. You don't lose sleep over it. And that fact alone tells you how far you have traveled from the boy in the thin coat standing outside the apartment block. Level 5, the authority. 5 years as a vor builds you into something the organization starts calling an Avtoritet. Not an official rank in every faction, but a recognized status. It means you have influence beyond your own territory. Other Vori consult you. Your opinion carries weight in disputes that have nothing to do with your operations. You are, in the truest sense, a node in the network, a point through which power and information flow. At this level, you barely touch cash. Everything moves through layers. Shell companies in Cyprus. Real estate in Dubai. Investments rooted through intermediaries you have never met in person. The money is not money anymore. It is infrastructure. It is leverage. It is the ability to make a phone call and have a problem solved in a city you have never visited. You travel. Not for pleasure, for maintenance. Relationships require presence. You sit in restaurants in Moscow, in hotel suites in Istanbul, in private clubs in London. You speak carefully and listen more than you talk. You are building a map of interconnected obligations that stretches across multiple countries and organizations. Every favor you grant is an investment. Every debt you forgive is a strategic decision. Your personal life has become a managed fiction. You have a public identity, a businessman, an investor, a philanthropist who donates to children's hospitals with great visibility. That version of you attends charity events and shakes hands with city officials. That version of you is the reason the real version of you is almost impossible to prosecute. The gap between who you appear to be and who you actually are is the most valuable asset you own. But there is a cost. You don't remember the last real conversation you had. Everything is calculation. Every relationship is a transaction. The men who stand closest to you are loyal because it is profitable to be loyal. That is a different thing from trust. You know the difference. You feel it at 3 a.m. when the building is quiet and the phones are finally silent. And you sit at the window with a glass of something expensive. And you wonder briefly what the version of you that walked away at 13 would think of this room. You don't wonder for long. There is work to do. Level 6, the boss. You don't seize the position of Pakhan. You are installed into it. There is a difference, and understanding that difference is part of what makes you qualified to hold it. The previous Pakhan, a man named Serov, has retired. That is the official word. Retired. You do not ask further questions. You receive confirmation of your new position through 3 separate channels in the same afternoon, which is how you know it is real. The organization does not communicate important things once. It confirms them in multiples. The Pakhan does not manage operations. That is the first thing you must unlearn. Every instinct built over 20 years of climbing, stay close to the details, verify everything, stay in control, must now be redirected. Stay close to the details, verify everything, stay in control. Your job is not to run the machine. Your job is to be the reason the machine keeps running. You manage Vori. You settle disputes between factions that control entire regions. You make strategic decisions that take years to execute. You maintain relationships with political figures at a level where favors are exchanged in silence, and the transactions are never written down. One conversation over dinner can move a regulatory decision. One phone call can redirect a criminal investigation. You are operating in a world where power is entirely invisible, and the most powerful move is always the one no one sees. The organization generates, at conservative estimate, $300 million per year across its operations. You see a small fraction of that as personal income. The rest is infrastructure, payroll, operations, protection payments going upward into political networks, reinvestment. Wealth at this level is not about what you can spend. It is about what you can mobilize. You have 4 phones. You use a different one for each category of relationship. They are never mixed. There are 17 people in the world who know your real role. 2 of them are in prison. 3 of them are in other countries. The rest are in rooms that you can reach within an hour. That proximity is not comfort, it is control. You need to be able to look into the eyes of the people who could destroy you. The threats at this level are not what you expected when you were young. You expected violence. You got bureaucracy. The real danger is not a man with a gun in a parking lot. The real danger is a journalist with the right documents, a prosecutor with the right witness, a former ally who has decided that cooperation is more profitable than loyalty. You have 3 lawyers on permanent retainer. You have a team whose entire job is information, monitoring, managing, erasing where necessary. You are 41 years old. You have not been afraid in a long time, which is its own kind of warning. There is a moment, late one evening, when your most senior advisor brings you a problem. One of your Vori, a man you promoted yourself, a man you trusted, has been meeting with federal investigators. Not once, 4 times. The evidence is clear. The decision is not complicated. You have been in this world long enough to know that hesitation at this level costs more than the decision itself. You give the instruction in 2 words. 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 You sleep that night. That is the thing no one tells you about reaching the top. It is not the violence that marks you. It is the ease of it. The absence of the weight you expected to feel. You thought power would feel like something. You thought the higher you climbed, the more significant each decision would feel. Instead, everything becomes quieter. The machine runs. The money moves. The city goes on without knowing your name. Somewhere in the Nevsky district, a 13-year-old boy is running an errand for a man who isn't important yet. Holding a package he's been told not to open. Counting rubles in his head and dreaming about what it means to be the kind of man that makes a police officer look away. You were that boy once. The system found him. It finds them all eventually. And it never, not once, lets them leave.